Hey everybody, and thanks for joining me again. This is your reading for June for Virgo. So first of all, Virgos, it's not even May yet, and you guys already gave me 21,000 views. I'm so touched and honored by your participation and welcome, and thank you so much. And for that alone, I overlook how many likes you give me and just read right away for you guys, because it's so nice and humbling that you've given me so much warm attention. And from one of the most detail-oriented signs to have this much attention and appreciation is very, very humbling. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I've never expected that kind of response. So I hope that it brought you some good awareness. And here we see a little bit of sunshine. This reading is different because it's a live reading that I'm doing here today in April, at the end of April for you, Virgo. And so it's important to, I'm trying this out just to show you guys that I'm doing the live stream thing. I'm doing it every morning at 8 a.m. or 10 a.m. usually on the second channel called Veroosh Live Vlogs. So please feel free to add me there, or and also rather add my meditation channel if you haven't done so already. The meditation channel will become increasingly important for you as you lead your way up until June. June is a very critical month for us because it has a grand square, which is two sets of T-squares, or four square angles between planets and two oppositions, creating a tense energy for us to work through. Now, one of the points of the grand square is smack dab on Jupiter, as we know, in opposition to Neptune, creating a square to the Sun and a square to Saturn. So this is going to be a critical, difficult energy as Jupiter pushes forward after its retrograde period until May 9th, pushes forward, starts moving forward and realigning itself. The other important aspect to keep in mind, and that will affect Virgo as well with regard to our social status, our career, is the conjunction between Venus and the Sun in the 10th house, also aspecting in this grand square. So this is going to provide a lot of positive energy with regard to our social status, how we're received, and we will shine brightly in June. Having said that, there's lots of work underneath the surface. So energetically, what we're seeing is we're on a high in May, and then in June it dips a little bit, and then we'll go back up in July and August, September, improving through the rest of the year. Still a T-square on Saturn. That's not anytime soon do we see that relieved, but it will be one day, and at that day I will be very happy, as shall you probably. Okay, so sorry if this live stream, no, I think it's great. The other thing to remember is Mars retrograde in the third house now in communication for Virgo is going to go direct on June 29th. Neptune is going to go retrograde in our 7th house of partnership, and in the 7th house we're going to understand who our partners are. Finally, Virgo, with this opposition to Jupiter, Neptune in retrograde, we're going to see who we're dealing with, and these people have been dragging us down, confusing things. Some of them are good, just obtuse, others are problematic, and in June we will see and we'll feel the punch of that. So, you know, when we feel the punch of it, not necessarily that bad things are going to happen, but you're going to come to some awareness about where to draw the line with others, and it's going to, you know, kind of bring perspective to your partnerships and relationships. New moon in Gemini on June 4th. This is an important one. There is a grand cross on Gemini at that time. Also a grand trine, though, in the Earth will still be holding strong in the first week of June. That breaks up on June 7th. We have a kite on Mars in Scorpio in the 3rd house. So this is going to provide lift with regard to communication about the things that we are going through. Look for that to break the clouds up a little bit for us. And then the full moon in Capricorn on June 20th. This is under a grand cross. However, there's going to be only trine energy on the moon at that time. So grand trine. So it's going to reinforce positive affect and feeling about things. This is going to hit us in our 5th house of children, relationships, passions, and expectations. The key days, busybody days, are 3rd to the 5th, the 7th, which is a high, the 9th, the 11th is a good day, 15th, we have a yod. The 20th is summer solstice, and welcome summer in, but don't be too daring. And then the energy starts to break up finally at the end of the month on June 30th. So I hope I gave you a good overview. 2 grand crosses, focusing on Virgo, our first house personality. So things are coming to a head. And so in order to address that fully, I am bringing out the little chest I have. And so the chest I've been using in the live readings, if you haven't checked those out, they're on Thursdays at 6:30 PST, and they're available to watch the rest of the week. I don't do a lot of marketing around it, so you're going to have to find it through my channel. But I'm going to pick 3 council cards through this chest. There's like 4 or 5 different random decks and something extra. We have 1 card. This is for June. This is council cards or guidance cards or theme cards for the rest of the month for Virgo. Now the reading is going to be a little bit different since June is in the middle, and since we have this crazy double grand cross between Virgo, Gemini, Pisces, and Sagittarius. Sagittarius, Saturn, which is our home. I thought that it was important to take a look at the journey we've come to up till June. So from the beginning of the year until about June, and then pushing forward, we'll do a second reading and take a look at what we can do about things to bring it forward. The sun is with us, so I'm sure it'll be fine. The first card is the 7 of Discs. The Grand Trine is a positive energy with regard to the earth signs. That is in your 1st, 9th, and 5th house. The 9th house has to do with education, and the 5th house has to do with children and also with regard to your passions. So you may be feeling as though in order to make things happen, this is where Pluto is, things are too heavy to handle. To add to this, this is Saturn in Taurus. Saturn is in Sagittarius right now, so that's creating almost an opposition to Taurus. And so therefore, this is a stress angle for Saturn. So this is a time when Virgos are going to feel particularly on edge about how much their house resources are going to see them through, whether what they have is sufficient. And there's going to be a lot of rehashing with regard to what we have in the home and whether that is sufficient to get what we want and achieve the things that we need. This is one of the darkest cards in the tarot that I've ever seen. This is the Crowley deck, of course. And it's dark, but the 7 of Discs also talks about investment. So really putting your money into future rewards. So it's much more constructive. Saturn in the 4th house, the house and home, is going to ask you to look at the long-term implications of current choices and call on you to invest in yourself, invest in your family, etc. Okay. And this might have to do with education as well. So many of you Virgos may be really considering education at this time as a long-term way to increase your fortune. The second card is the 10 of Wands. The 10 of Wands says that you have a ton of stuff to deal with, and it looks like it, but you don't want to let anything go. The best thing about the 10 of Wands is that the outcome is you're going to the city. You're going to the city to make your way, and you're there to achieve everything. It's hard work, but you are a Virgo and you're attacking it with perseverance. This is when we can bring attention to the Grand Trine on Jupiter in the 1st house in our personality and resolve, and then also the Grand Cross, the struggle. It's going to be a struggle, but it's going to be one that we can meet wholeheartedly. The last card is the Knight of Cups. So this means that we're not going to be alone through this process. Particularly, I believe, when Neptune starts going, getting ready to go direct at the end of the month, you will begin to see offers coming to you from friends and associates. Look out for Pisces, Cancers, and Scorpios. at the helm. However, this may transform into anyone who really wants to offer you something. See, if you take a look, this knight is slowly galloping forward with an offer, outstretched arm, making some kind of kind and generous offer to you and to build alliances. This can also be Mars, sorry, in the 3rd house. This is early childhood development, and then also communication and brothers and sisters. This means that your family, brothers, siblings may be coming into the picture, or someone from your childhood appearing and offering some kind of hand or some kind of support to you. Okay, the next card is, we're going to pick 12 cards from the Margaret Petersen deck. And I just flipped over a card. I'll show you guys what it is because it's awesome. So it's the 10 of coins. So Virgos, you know, you might be going through some stress energy, but overall it looks like it's going to be prosperous. Remember to do at least a meditation a week from my weekly meditations on the meditation channel. If you can, around June, I'll try to post more because that is when we're going to need to use all this energy. All this friction energy is going to be actually really positive for us to bring forward some new outcomes. Oh, we have another card that jumped out. Look at this, Virgo. We have the 9 of Cups. The 9 of Cups is the wish card, so of course make a wish for yourself or a wish for someone else. In fact, if you wish for other people as well as yourself, then your wishes become stronger. So definitely try to put somebody else in mind today. But if you take a look at these 3 cards, sorry about the strong rays of the sun, it's coming out. I guess the sun is happy with this reading. You're moving forward. It looks like you've identified some weaknesses in your foundation and you've gone the mile to apply yourself. Remember, this is from beginning of the year, January, until the future. And so moving forward, you're moving from this struggle and grind to a gallop. I just saw this little meme that was funny. When you're struggling, you're all alone. When you're grinding, people start taking notice. And then when you are balling or when you're like doing well, people reach out to you. So I think that in terms of chronology, it does really appear that Virgo is going to pick up now. Of course, Jupiter is moving into our 2nd house in September, so money is definitely on our doorstep. Okay, good. So now let's take, I don't even know how long we're filming for, so sorry. I think, 13 minutes, dang, okay. Well, I hope it's information that you guys find positive. I do think that because you guys watch so much of the other video, it doesn't really matter how long this one is. So we're picking 12 cards from the Margaret Petersen deck for the 12 houses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Somebody asked me about that. Actually, this question comes up for me, and I see other readers. Why do you pick from that part of the deck? It really doesn't matter. The right cards always come up, and you see that with experience. Once you've read a while, it doesn't really matter where you pick from. The right information always comes through. So I'm going to keep the cards face down just to keep the mystery rolling to find out. Oh, hopefully. For some reason, this camera angle is a little bit zoomed in, so I hope you don't mind. Okay, I think we'll fit. It's that dang sun, yeah? Okay, good. I can't read your guys' comments, but if you guys leave a comment right now, it's not going to be saved. I'll look at it after we're done the filming. So this is the cards that represent your life up until this point and in June. So it's kind of an assessment of where you are with things, where are you coming from, what are you bringing into the current phase. Remember, your mindset in May leads directly into June because we have this grand trine in Earth, and so this is affecting Virgo in the 1st house. That is a huge aspect, and so it's important to keep a very healthy and clean mind at this time. Also, keep yourself happy. Do things that make you happy and evoke happiness in your life, and then also keep your mind happy. Keep reading intelligent things. getting yourself informed so that you can find success moving forward through the grand squares of the Grand Cross, of the June, the two, Grand Crosses in June. Now this is Mercury retrograde. The other reason that I'm doing the video now is I want to show you guys that Mercury retrograde is not so bad. It's not, unless you're seeking perfection, then you might get annoyed. But in reality, it's just another good time, a great time to reflect and plan forward. So I hope that you guys participate with me on that. So far, it's good. 10 of Discs, 9 of Cups, and in the first house, we have the Lovers. So the importance on family and community are highlighted. Relationships, you are very attractive at this time for serious relationships. You're looking for the right thing, and other people are looking for that in you. So you are like a flower, and bees are flying around and they're just looking for you. This can also affect people who are not looking for relationships or who are already in relationships. This card represents the card of family in general, and so the bonding together of people. It's a serious attitude, and you are very family oriented at this time, or very much oriented towards long-term relationships and family themes in your life. The second house is the money house. We don't have any transits here. Here we see the Six of Flames, so success, easy street, applying yourself well. Very good at negotiations or influencing other people with regard to your point of view or perspective. So this is a wonderful time to tell other people what to do in the nicest way possible to get your way with regard to setting it up yourself financially. If you are worried financially right now, you're not going to actually carry that forward. People are not going to notice that. And this is the energy of your life leading up until June and inclusive of June. So this is what you're bringing into the latter part of the year. The third house is communication. So we have Four of Cups. This is not to be unexpected. Mars moved into the fourth house and now is back in the third house. So there's been a lot of transiting action in your third house and your fourth house. New opportunities with regard to communication. Something you had not expected is coming up. Maybe there's some kind of offer being given to you, brothers or sisters. Short distance travel trips produce unexpected positive outcomes. I feel as though it might be kind of difficult for you to bear at times. However, I think that overall it's going to be a positive experience. Do you see this man? He doesn't actually want to let anything go. So, you know, he really wants to carry everything forward, and if he grits hard enough, then he'll be able to manage that. So new opportunities have come in for Virgo in the third house, and that affects communication very much so. And so in the fourth house, we see the Ace of Feathers. The feathers in this card are like the swords. And so the Ace of Feathers represents communication. The fourth house is the house of the home. This is where Saturn's hanging out on a big square. So it's not been an easy time for Virgos with regard to the home. There's requirements on them to change their ways. But then there's people coming with offers, communication, making some kind of suggestion that will change things up a little bit for you. And so as this happens, you will see opportunity. This is for the first part of the year in June, so these communications would have been very important. I feel as though this Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio person could be involved in some way, or very important, or they could be actually the person who's bringing this stuff forward. Saturn in the fourth house represents an opportunity to move, to refine wherever you're living. So if you're living somewhere that's kind of not up to steam, or if it's not feeling good anymore, then maybe moving forward is the opportune time now. I wouldn't necessarily move in June because of the two grand squares. You might find yourself tripping over yourself. There might be complications. There might be just the stress energy that's not nice to cope with. But if the opportunity comes up, then go for it for sure. But yeah, if you can make that move either before or after, then there is a lot of nice, positive, supportive energy for that. So the next house is the fifth house. This is the Ace of Coins. So again, opportunity to aces, move or change work, but in the fifth house, Ace of Coins, children, Ace of Earth. So there's an opportunity to conceive children. Also new opportunities to have fun. New romantic relationships may come on to the surface. This might come through an unexpected channel. Pluto is in the fifth house and is still retrograde, and so through the fifth house may be giving you some kind of offer, unexpected gesture, something new is coming through. This is affecting the first part of the year. You may be very well aware what these aces represent. Just make sure that you are nurturing everything that's coming through. The sixth house. The sixth house is the Virgo house. Virgo's sixth house is ruled by Aquarius. This is day-to-day activity and nutrition. We have the Daughter of Flames, which is ambitious, everyday ambitious. It can represent a Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo young woman, but it can represent a muse type energy. You might feel amused to do lots of things every day, full of spunk and energy and promise, but by the end of the day you may be falling dead. Not really, not literally, but falling tired on your bed and crashing very hard. And so the Daughter of Flames is full ambition with regard to health and nutrition. Great time to work out. Just don't overstrain yourself. Don't go the full steam ahead. You're kind of on fire day to day, Virgo, in June, but you want to make sure that you moderate your energy. This is working up from the choices you have made up until now in 2016. So this is remember, this is the energy we're bringing into June and taking it forward. So it's not the past necessarily. It's just saying how the past has affected the present and the oncoming future. The seventh house. This is the partnership house, and this is where Neptune will go retrograde on June 13th through November 19th. So this is the partnership house. This will give you perspective on who your partners are, what they represent, both in your career, which has the sun transiting there, and with regard to romantic relationships where we see Pluto. So either way, it's going to be big. So partnership house, we see the Chariot. So in this deck, it's called the Chariotess. This is the sign of Cancer. And so this is overcoming. This is really wonderful prospect. So let's talk about this a little bit, Virgo. We have the time. I don't mind. And especially since you guys are watching these videos a lot. So, okay, basically the bottom line is that Virgo got screwed over big time this year with this Jupiter transit. Jupiter transits Virgo every 12 years, as you guys know. It transits every sign. And this sign, this year we have Neptune in opposition to Jupiter pretty much the entire time of the transit. This adds to confusion, not being sure exactly where or how you are gaining the benefits of your character being on fleek, which is like basically Jupiter in the first house, and it's taking away from your glitz and glamour through the whole year pretty much. And since May 9th, this has gradually improved, but still the opposition is happening between Jupiter and Neptune and into June as well. So when Neptune goes retrograde, it eases up its intensity vis-a-vis direct moving Jupiter in your first house. So what does that mean? That means that in June, you guys are going to start see the wheels turning with regard to your partnerships and love relationships. The Chariot is a love card. It also represents success in work. So if you have been held back as a Virgo, Virgo rising, Virgo moon, but definitely Virgo rising and Virgo sun, this at the end of June, leading up through this grand trine and through the grand cross, you will be working through friction and grace or graceful energy to achieve transcendence. That's what the Chariot represents. It says that you have a hang up in the 7th house, something to do with Chiron, because Chiron's there as well. And whatever kind of challenge you're facing in the 7th house of partnership, you will finally persevere and overcome. This is success and love. So this is the first part of the year and what you are bringing forward into the latter part of 2016. Okay, enough is enough. Now let's look onto the 8th house. The 8th house, you see strength, and so strength represents the sign of Leo, but it also represents, here, I want to show you guys in the sun. These cards are awesome, but they look better in the sun. Literally, this is one of the most beautiful decks I've ever seen. It's phenomenal. And so the 8th house is not heavily aspected, only by Pluto in the 5th house. So there's some interaction between passionate relationships, and sex. Uranus is in the 8th house. So Virgos are getting kinky. We're like a little bit strange in the sack. That's okay. Also, unique ways of getting other people's money may be available. Nothing illegal, nothing illicit, but you might be surprised how money comes to you. The Strength card here says that you're some kind of authority figure with regard to endings and new beginnings, and you may feel as though that the changes that are happening around you and for you right now until June and through June are really in line with what your desires are. So there's some fundamental transformation. We only see 3 trumps, so far the readings aren't so monumental, but they're important enough. Sorry about the shadow, but I'll bring up the cards to show you. It's just the sun beating down. We have now the 9th house of higher education. We see Libra and Justice. This is where Mercury will be transiting in Taurus for the majority of the month, and so Libra says that, or Justice card says that leading up until June, whatever's been unfair will be set fair. Libra people may be coming into your life. The 9th house right now has a grand trine energy on Mercury and even the transit of the moon, but that's every month there's a transit, so that doesn't really count. So the emphasis is on a communication. If you need to write something with regard to school to set things straight, or if you need to write a big dissertation or apply to school, this is the time to do it, Virgo. So here is the 10th house, and the 10th house is to do with career. This is where we see Venus and the Sun joining up, and so here we see the World card. Okay, now this is becoming a big reading. This is saying that there's opportunity for you in the world, something that can be quite a challenge to take on. There might be an offer that is kind of over the top, but one that you don't want to pass on. The World card assures success, financial success. So especially as we're leading up to that Neptune going direct in the partnership house, there may be some real give with regard to opportunity. Virgos, get your affairs in order from April until mid-May, and then just push forward for the rest of the year, or at least while Jupiter is transiting Virgo until September 9th, okay? Because this is looking like a real big setup for a whole lot of success. And if you're caught up in details from the past or things you haven't done, haven't taken care of, maybe because the opposition has made you really tired. Lots of Virgos are saying they're very tired right now. Get through the stuff, grit it, and then you will enjoy life on easy street, if only for a few months. After that, it's okay too. I'm saying it's going to be really nice and cushy, so get ready for your vacation. Okay, 11th house, 5 of Cups. When you're on top, sometimes friends don't meet the mark, and so be prepared to not have your expectations met. Remember, this is the energy oncoming from the beginning of the year to the mid-year in June. And so therefore you might have to let go of some expectations, but the general love is still there, and there are people who care about you. You just need to be discerning and see what's what, and what is valuable and what needs to be let go of. I sense the offer through the 3rd house might be something that you might want to let go of. Okay, in the 12th house, we see the devil. So the devil has been around with Virgo for about a year. And so the devil is the Capricorn. The 12th house is residual, and it represents the things that we cling to. So it's important on Virgo, as we find success everywhere else, to let go of static forms and antiquated concepts or dogmas around religion and belief systems. This is the house of hidden enemies, so I wouldn't be doing you justice if I didn't say that there might be something creeping underneath the surface, so make sure not to be overly trusting. Remember, this is the layout for the time leading up and in June, so some of the frictions that are going on with regard to the Grand Cross may be played out through this, but the 12th house in your chart is not aspected. So now let's begin the energy that we're going to bring forward through this. So from now on until the end of the year. So I want to bring your attention that it's really important that you take on all this information and try to implement it in your life as soon as possible, so that when June happens, you can start implementing this second energy. The second energy is being read with the Golden Thread Tarot, Golden Gomorrah Tarot. I really love it. It's beautiful. And so it's another really gorgeous deck, and the size between the two decks is really convenient. Of course, I can't fan it out, so I'm just going to pick them randomly here as I pick. Okay, so this is advice. Excuse me, guys. So this is advice on what we should do with what we've got, and maybe some illusion as to what is coming. I almost want to sneeze and yet cough. It's really funny. So the first house, we had the Lovers. Great. So we have a wonderful disposition. Our homely nature and family-oriented attitude is highlighted by Jupiter's transit. Also, the North Node is here, so this is an important time to really stick to your guns with regard to who you are and what you believe in. Okay, wonderful. So we have got the Nine of Cups. So this is the wish card. It's confirming that the wishes that haven't been necessarily met as much as we wanted to with Jupiter's transit are going to be met at the end of June. So as always with the Nine of Cups, the wish card, I encourage you guys to make a wish and also wish for other people. This is the first house, so it's full manifestation. So put a wish in your heart and hope that other people find joy and celebration or happiness, whatever they wish for or want. And then make a wish for yourself humbly and for what you wish to have happen. I'm making a wish for myself as well. And so this double energy will carry you through the end of the year. You will be well received, well loved, and you will be making lots of progress. So this is the Knight of Cups here. This is you, Virgo, carrying forward all this 9 cups, all this power, and all this wishing. Don't worry, you haven't missed out on the Jupiter transit. It's just showing up a little bit different with the opposition to Neptune. The second house, money house, 6 of Flames. So what is Virgo going to do? We have no aspects there right now. We see Sagittarius. So carefully using what you have in order to produce outcomes. You have found some certain spiritual success with regard to your resources, and now it's time for you to manage it well. So just carefully waiting until Jupiter moves into Libra in September, and then you will be able to invest. See, we have the 7 of discs here, so you will be able to invest the energy that you had not squandered and apply it to and let it grow. The third house, we had the 4 of Cups, some kind of offer creating a bit of a weight or a burden, and here we see the 7 of Wands. Stick to your guns, represent what you believe in, speak your mind, speak honestly. Mars is going direct, so you will have a second chance with regard to communicating ideas or concepts to others, particularly things to do with valor or passion or your drive and your ambitions. So present them well and face your opportunities with virtue. Okay? The fourth house. The fourth house is the house of the home. And here we see the Ace of Feathers, some kind of communication coming on your doorstep until June. Moving forward, you have the Six of Discs. The Six of Discs represents success, giving and taking in equal amounts, and finding fairness and equity between yourself and others. Therefore, finding success and clearing out your karma. So this is where Saturn is, and therefore you will find balance. Sometimes people get caught up in disproportionate balance with regard to people with whom they live or their family members. And so Saturn is going to help you adjust those inequalities between yourself and others. I sense as though you have an advantage in a certain sense that is maybe even unfair and not something that you naturally coerced or tried to create for yourself, but it is something that you found yourself with and you can't shake yourself of. So Saturn is going to help you adjust that so that it's fair. So even though it's kind of advantageous to you, it's kind of not a good deal, okay? In the long term, like the consequences of that would be the Tower, so you need to break it up before it doesn't work out too good. By the way, I forgot to mention the busy days are the first week of June, where we see a grand cross, and then on June 7th in the third house we see a kite, so there'll be a lot of opportunity to make inroads with regard to your ambitions and sticking to your guns and pushing forward. The 9th, the 11th, on 15th there is a yod on Mars, or maybe I think it's the 7th, sorry if I'm making a mistake. Summer solstice is on the 20th, and I would say be cautious with this summer solstice a little bit, because it's Capricorn, which works well with Pluto. It becomes really karmic that way. But there is a lot of squares over us in the latter part of June as well. So take that energy easy. And on the 30th, the second grand trine in Earth happens. Well, I think it's the moon transit through Taurus that sparks that again. Okay. So now we're moving on to the 5th house, Ace of Coins, leading up until June. New opportunities with regard to maybe even children, or possibly with regard to new passions and new ways of being. This is a neutral card. The outcome is Six of Wands. So where did we see this? Six of Wands in the 2nd house, Six of Wands in the 5th house. So my friend Kate told me that the path of marriage is the 2nd house, 5th house, 7th house, and 11th house. So right now we're in point with regard to success in that direction for those of you who are looking to get married. But if you're not, then you will feel general success in the latter part of the year, and as though you have achieved what you had sought to do with regard to passions, expectations, desire, not sexual passion, but relationships, romance, that sort of thing. And also with regard to your children, there will be stability. You will be the voice of authority. They will heed your call. And so therefore, typically understanding time with regard to that. The 6th house, this is the house I get excited about. This is health and nutrition, and it also represents day-to-day activity. Daughter of Flames, excited in lots of directions. And we see the King of Discs, so buddy up with another Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn in order to see success. You are in charge, so you are on top of your game with regard to what you're eating, with regard to how you're exercising, with regard to what you do every day. So hold tight to your guns and be charitable in lots of different directions in the latter part of 2016. The next card is for the 7th house, where we saw the Chariot, which is so wonderful with the Neptune going retrograde in mid-June, June 13th. Now we see the 8 of Wands. The 8 of Wands is love coming quickly. That's the traditional meaning of the card. It represents the arrows of love flying through, quick messages. Things can turn around for you quickly. Things are heating up for you in June. There's amorousness and kindness in the way that you communicate with others. People may be sending you very kind words and ideas your way. The 8th house is strength, or Leo. This is the primal passion, or your desire. You've probably identified what you want in life. In the Crowley deck, this card represents lust, so I forgot to mention that before when I was reading it. And so this strength card represents a truth within yourself that you are manifesting, and can be very tantric. Make sure to check out my tantra meditation on the meditations channel and go through it one time. You don't have to do anything, you can just listen, and it's about 2 hours long, but if you just listen through, you might actually have a real decent epiphany. Try to do that in May before June happens, and that will prepare you for a better transition to this retrograde Neptune. The strength card is modified by the moon, and the moon has a close connection with the 8th house. The 8th house has a close relationship with the 12th house. So if we're thinking about the devil and what he represents, maybe we're getting some insight and intuition into what that means through the moon. Things are a little bit abstract, a little bit unsure. Think Neptune direct, so that's what we're used to, that energy. And also remember, the moon represents mothers and female role models, or female influences in our lives. So at this time, changes in relationships with mothers, or changes in relationships with our wives, or with our female friends that have a strong hold on us in a mystical sense, may be happening. And it's very kind of intangible changes, things that you would only perceive. This can also represent a dawning of a sacred femininity with regard to sex, so I would only reinforce that you should be doing that tantric meditation to fully understand how these two cards play together. These are both actually very sexual cards, so in the house of sex, I would really want to highlight this for you, that there is a transcendence and an evolution of your form with regard to your sexual body or your sexual imprint. So in the 9th house, we see ninth house, we see justice and fairness with regard to education. What's wrong is being set right. That's leading up until June. And here we see the Empress. So you take hold of your position with regard to higher education or long distance travel. You might travel far in order to be with someone that you love, particularly if it's a woman. There may be some need on you to travel to see your mother. That's the 9th house as well. And coming to terms with your role and position with regard to things. If you're a teacher, or if you're studying something, then you may feel as though you're very motherly towards your students at this time and nurturing. You may create new things and have these kinds of super creative ideas with regard to higher education as well. So some pretty big cards for Virgo. We have lots of trumps coming through, lots of double trumps, particularly in the 8th house and 9th house. But we'll see for the 10th house, we saw the World, which is success. I think that Virgos who have been working hard in academia, they may be really coming into their own. These three cards together are really suggesting that, these three cards together are suggesting that there is some kind of academic give. We see the Justice card, which is Libra, the Empress, and the World card. So for those of you who are waiting for tenure, whatever you are trying to achieve, then maybe this is a time of transcendence. If you're doing your PhD or master's, higher level education, then this might be a time when you're really coming into your own. And here we see the Hermit. So At the end of the day, you are truly yourself. Venus shines the highest form of you, your inner knowledge, inner awareness, the way that you process things, the way you see things through. In your true form, you find success, and that is the most stable form of success you can have. So I wish you luck with that for the rest of 2016. So hey, you can just kind of work on being you. 11th house, the beginning of the year, 5 of Cups, things not following through to the full manifestation. You're too busy, basically. But then we see the Page of Wands. We saw this somewhere. Maybe that was in the Aries reading. Nope, here it is. Daughter of Flames in your 6th house. Day-to-day activity. In day-to-day activity, you might find a friend, Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo, someone who you work out with, someone who you eat with, I don't know, someone who you do laundry with, something pretty basic and easygoing. This is a youthful energy, and this will correlate with your day-to-day activity. A nice friend to have around, someone who's a muse and sparks lots of interesting ideas in your head. 12th house, Devil. Okay, so leading up until June, we have this Devil. There's something going on underneath the surface that's suppressing you. You have an opponent, maybe. You have some kind of ideology that needs to be flushed out. And the outcome is the High Priestess. June moving onward, you will figure out who the Devil is, and you're probably going to kick it to them, because the High Priestess represents inside knowledge, understanding. This is the card of the Oracle, so nothing gets past her, and so she has the awareness, and she knows what to do, and she has this kind of spiritual knowing. The High Priestess in the Spirit House, you'll be able to transcend and combat this. This is going to be a huge standoff. This is going to be, flushing out from... These two cards are actually opposites, because this is the act of not knowing anything, the Devil who refuses to know God or the universe, and the High Priestess who actually lives in both the earthly domain and also the higher spiritual, and she's a transcendent form between the universe and here on Earth, and she has awareness of both worlds. She's actually the only figure in the tarot who has this property. Queen of Cups to some extent, but less so. Also the Magician to a certain extent, but no, she is, the force between the heavens and earth, and so therefore she is the antithesis, which I cannot pronounce properly, but leading up until June, you're going to struggle. You're not going to understand why. June moving forward, you're going to understand, and you're going to persevere. So just the last little thing that I wanted to do, I've been doing this with Kate recently, and so let's pick the most important card of this reading so that we can bring focus on what to focus on. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys give me a like and all that. And yeah, thanks for joining. Join me on the morning vlogs at 8 and 10 a.m. I'll be doing, for the next week, I'll be doing the June readings for you guys at that time. So the morning vlogs are canceled until I finish, but I guess that's the answer. The most important card is the Empress. So whether it's your role as a mother, your role as a woman, your wife, your mother, women in general, feminism, these are the most important aspects of your life at this time. So cling strongly to your feminism. I just actually remembered I wanted to do the High Priestess Club at the end of last year, but then I got sidetracked. So I'm wondering if maybe this is the time to do it. So let's bring her forward. Between the Moon, the High Priestess, and the Empress, this is the 3-part triad of the female form, and so this is the most powerful combination of female representation in the tarot, and Virgo's got it all, the Virgin. And so take on the full power of the divine feminine and bring it forward. Whether you're a man or a woman, connect with that source and you will find success in the rest of 2016. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed this format. Please leave me comments and likes as always, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.